Some Americans may be shocked at how violent the American left will get just to maintain the ability to slaughter children in the womb. That's why the press is either downplaying or simply not reporting these terrorist attacks. These extremists seem to be taking their cues, though, from threats of violence issued by their elected politicians.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
In fact, as we speak, illegal protests in violation of 18 U.S. Code 1507 are taking place in front of Supreme Court justices' homes. It is a right, your right, to protest elected leaders whose job it is to respond to we the people. It is not the job of the High Court to respond to anything except the Constitution and the rule of law. That's why normal people saw fit to protect them from anti-American threats and intimidation from the mob. Despite the potential danger posed by the left-wing mobs, Democrats in Congress refused to condemn these illegal protests. The Biden regime, the bunch that controls the executive branch enforcing the laws, right, also refuses to condemn the illegal protests. And Joe Biden's DOJ refuses to enforce the law, much in the same way the Biden administration refuses to enforce immigration law. Joe Biden took it a step further, though, floating the idea of a, quote, mini revolution if Roe versus Wade is overturned. The left-wing extremists in Ruth Sent Us, apparently meeting Twitter's community standards, are openly coordinating attempts at intimidation and coercion against Justice Amy Coney Barrett's faith community, targeting parishioners and her children. A crazed leftist, in the tradition of the Bernie Sanders supporter who tried to gun down and kill GOP members of Congress on a baseball field, this maniac left-winger tried to assassinate Justice Brett Kavanaugh. One of the justices, Senator Chuck Schumer, threatened by name. On May 9th, in the wake of the assassination attempt, the entire U.S. Senate moved immediately to protect the justices. But the U.S. House of Representatives, under Nancy Pelosi, didn't act with any urgency. In fact, Pelosi herself, along with other Democrats, delayed the bill. The House didn't pass a bill to protect the justices until June 14th. Now, why would Nancy Pelosi delay 36 days with the Dobbs v. Jackson ruling so close to dropping and knowing the passions that exist on all sides here? Why would there be a delay? Who can explain Pelosi's actions? Who can explain the actions of a George Soros-funded DA, George Gascon? He let out a guy who was on probation for illegally carrying a gun, only to see that same thug killed 2 El Monte police officers. By evidence of their actions, it seems Democrats will do anything to undermine the rule of law, anything to sow chaos and fear, anything to create misery, and then blame our Constitution and our freedoms for all that's going wrong. Now, in my view, the Democrats are playing with fire here. They are delaying legislation and refusing to enforce existing law in an effort to exert undue intimidation on our nation and those who serve it, all to achieve their political goals. If Democrats continue to drag our country down this path, I fear someone's going to get killed. Democrats are antithetical to the civilized society. We can no longer afford Democrats. I thought I should tell you, seeing as how the so-called press will not. Earlier in the week, we had Congressman Rodney Davis on this program, so we wanted to extend an invitation to his opponent. Redistricting has shoved both of these Republicans into a primary for the 15th Congressional District in Illinois. Joining me now, Congresswoman Mary Miller. Congresswoman, it's great to see you. Speaking of the Democrats, a Democrat congressman appearing on MSNBS floated the idea that if Republicans take power in the fall, there will be a civil war. But it's been leftists who have been calling for violence for years. Watch this, Congresswoman.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them.
When you're in the arena, you got to be ready to take a punch. You got to be ready to throw a punch.
Let this moment radicalize you.
I don't think they're appropriate tactics, but it happens to everybody. from the.
Well, yeah, Congresswoman, isn't this just another example of the Salcedo show axiom that states left-wingers project negative qualities onto others that they themselves have in abundance?
Well, exactly. I mean, their tactic is to deceive and deflect from their bad policies. And these policies are causing pain to regular Americans. And for example, the people in my district are not so concerned over the January 6th Commission. They are trying to survive, put gas in their tanks. I come from a very agricultural district. Diesel fuel is how we run vehicles. My husband and I are farmers, and putting a couple 100 gallons of diesel fuel in a tractor is very painful. These are the real issues that people care about. Also, Illinois is a sanctuary state, and we care about the open border. This is outrageous that people that have taken an oath to defend our laws are actually aiding and abetting an invasion of our country. These are the issues that the people in my district care about.